you know, that's for closing. That's for what he might perceive as being having the door closed on. And I'm sure that
there we go. Now that is not a Bluetooth shark fin aerial on the top of that C1. That is a piece of brie.
I've never known anyone get so excited about a piece of cheese, particularly on top of the car. But there it is.
I wonder how that's been adhered to it. Hopefully with some gaffer tape, not the actual brie itself.
Or sticky back tape or something.
Yeah, maybe. And they've got a Kit Kat.
They've got a Kit Kat as well.
There we go. We got the double whammy. Chocolate and cheese on a car here at Silverstone.
The thing is, that's been secured with proper tape on there, so that's not really going to fall off, is it? So that's a chunky Kit Kat. I'm trying to work out what variety it is, though.
It definitely doesn't look like salted caramel, that's for sure.
It might be peanut butter, maybe.
Who knows?
Anyway,
only they can tell us that a bit later on. But
yeah, I'm sure they will. I love the fact we're getting more excited about a cheese and a chocolate bar strapped to a steering wheel than what's probably going out on track at the moment in time.
But I think it's always the little things, isn't it, Scott?
It is, and that's what makes it such a unique and quirky race. Is that?
Oh, will you stop focusing on that brie, please?
Right.
Oh no, we didn't just have that. I've just heard someone just say it's all about the brie.
Yeah, Stream Director is pulling out the cheese puns now. So.
Oh god. Oh no.
Yeah,
no.
debris was everywhere. So anyway.
Yeah, enough of that now. I think.
Yeah, back to the matter at hand, which is the on-track action.
Okay.
There is the Citroen Racing Club just going through. We're now going to watch the cars heading down the back straight here. One of the Prep Tech cars, and just behind it appears to be, I think that's our race leader, isn't it? 385. Oh, he hasn't stopped because he's now saying it's a bit breezy down the back straight, is he? So.
Well. Now, I've just made a bit of a calculation here, Scott. Now, obviously, we've covered over 1,300 miles in terms of the race leader.
We have.
When they complete lap number 410, we will have eclipsed 1,500 miles completed. And we are now at 91% of the time elapsed here. We're in 1 hour, 57 minutes and 42 seconds remaining of the clock here as more drivers, I think, getting very, very close to taking the grass runoff. That has been the Rallycross special here at the C1 24 Hours of Silverstone. Nevertheless, it has provided some great entertaining moments when people have gone, well, I'll just go flat through the corner, shall I?
Yeah, but that's not always the strategy some of these seals. Even though they are light and sort of not as powerful as anything as most other things, doesn't mean you can abuse them too much. As we've seen, case in point, Cella V there, of course, as we said, we're one of the many cars with no front windscreen and no rear windscreen. But the thing is, of course, with the rear windscreens that in the pit lane. Anyway, we've ant in the pit lane with an interview down there to see who he's found.
We're down in the pit lane. I've got John Winter here. He's with the team that have stuck the brie on the roof of the car. Now, whose idea was it to stick the cheese on the car?
Well, fundamentally, the car's always been known as brie because it's sort of made out of it. When we're stripping it down to build it into a race car, everything's so like flimsy and wobbly and horrible. So I just kept saying everything was made out of brie. But we got here, and I think it was Misty Racing's lot had adorned the windscreen with a nice wedge of brie. I had a little taste; it was quite delicious, and then stuck it on the roof as a comestible aerodynamic aid.
Oh no, and it's not stuck on with anything but just the cheese, isn't it?
It is purely stuck with dairy goodness.
Excellent, and then you've got a Kit Kat on the steering wheel as well. What's the Kit Kat for?
If it breaks down, it gives them something to eat. Yeah. None of our drivers smoked, so I took the lighter out of it and took the cigarettes out of it, and we replaced it with a Kit Kat.
Oh, excellent. But on to the racing side of things. Your race is going well for you guys as well?
No, it's been utter horse rubbish, really. Yeah, we probably managed to find the only nail that exists on a motor racing circuit and get a puncture. And then we found some tyres that were egg-shaped and made it go really badly.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, and then to cap it all, in the last stint, told the driver to go out and keep out of trouble, which he duly did, and some plankton came hammering into the side of him, hence all the damage.
Oh dear.
Pretty much surmises up the whole event, really.
It's a tough race with obviously 99 cars starting the grid. It's a busy race, but all the best, and we hope to see you with the checker flag. Cheers. Spot on. John Winter's down here, Garage 5B, with the cheese on top of the car.
Have to admit, that was a brilliantly candid interview. Thanks to that, Anthony, in terms of basically saying just generally in terms of the fact that it's stuck on there purely with the cheese. No adhesive, purely with just the adhesive of the cheese itself.
Pure dairy goodness.
Absolutely.
That was some very dulcet tones from from the guys down there at exit 13.
Yeah.
Currently in 45th position.
We even got an explanation to why the Kit Kat's there as well, which is quite intriguing. Anyway.
But then to find out that Misty Racing, which has Warren McKinley in the car at the moment, are also involved in said I'm not going to put a pun here because they were the instigators of said cheese attachment to the top of said 395.
But I love the fact they've just gone with it and gone, oh, we'll keep it on there. And it seems to be working for them, apart from getting in too much trouble. So
that's very, very true indeed. So at the moment, we've had another change. Bianco Auto Developments were recently in the pits as more cars go rally crossing here at Silverstone. That is going to need an extensive remodel there on the grassy verge there.
But as a bonus, we can see these guys were laying plenty of rubber. Someone else is running wide there. I saw just going very, very wide on the exit of the complex. Chris Morris saying John Winter as cool and funny as normal. So
tyres that are egg-shaped. It was just like the puns came thick and fast.
Yes, they did.
From John, but what a sport there. Oh no, the cheese has hit the stream again as well. This stream is brought to you by cheese. Well, no, it's just the fact that we noticed some brie on the top of a car. We can't help it, can we?
It wasn't even the team that this car stuck onto that stuck it on there in the first place.
Yeah, Misty Racing.
Anyway, I think we should probably get back to the actual habits at hand, particularly these guys. This is our race leaders. Makatak Racing now have a still minute-and-a-half lead. Although they have to say is that Simon Harrison now has picked the pace up a little bit, and he is losing time, but not as much as he was before. He's only losing about, well, it doesn't sound as much like a second of that, but of course second of that with these cars is not as much as it would be in anything faster.
I mean, the thing is that Makatak Racing they're going to cross the start-finish line now to set another lap. Last time round it was a 3:03.2, and it's now a 3:03.3, so good consistency there from the 347, who were about a minute and a half ahead of Circuit Pro in the 3:85. So probably in about less than 90 seconds we will find out how much time that Mr. Harrison has either gained or lost very, very shortly. So there is Makatak Racing just going hammer and tongs there through one of the very fast parts of the track here at Silverstone, nearly cocking a left rear wheel there in the process. That car is on full tilt right now, absolutely pushing like crazy.
But he knows how to use the track properly in terms of keeping it off the runoff areas, which is quite crucial. Simon Harrison's car, which is the Circuit Pro 385, hasn't come through just yet, but we can tell which one it is because it's the distinctive sort of slightly dirty white car that comes past the pits, number 385, which waited for it to make an appearance. And because effectively he's got half a lap lead, does Joe Wiggin over Simon Harrison at the moment.
Yeah.
Into third place, we said now is MSAR Old Hat Motorsport. Fourth place for Citroen Racing. P5 for Team Mel International. Now, we just seen an incident, of course, earlier on with ASR, of course, which was a team run by Alex Sedgwick, who is this one of a NASCAR win US Series driver. And Anthony's down the pit lane with Alex right now to talk us through how his race has been going.
We're down in the pit lane at Garage 9C, joined here by Alex Sedgwick, part of the Pro Drive team, or the ASR team. Your car's just come in to the pit lane after a bit of contact with another car out there. Can you talk us through what happened?
Good question. By the looks of it, Ryan was just passing a lap car. There may have been a slight bit of contact on the entry to the corner, which caused the lap car to go sideways, but then it overcorrected and hit Ryan in the right front. That meant that all the bodywork started rubbing, so obviously he had to come straight in so he didn't get a puncture. It's not the end of the world because we were due to come in fairly soon for a stop anyway for fuel, but it means that we're now fairly tight for the last stint, so obviously Kieran's in the car now and we'll see if we can make it, but obviously it puts a bit of we're on the back foot a bit now.
Yeah, it's one of those horrible moments where you have one of those incidents, especially near the latter part of the race. Is Kieran out there for the rest of the race, or are you swapping again?
Yeah, Kieran will be out until the end now, so we might have to do a little splash and dash, but we'll see.
Okay, excellent. Until then, it's been a pretty scot-free race for you guys. You've been smashing it out there. You've had a good race.
Yeah, no, it's been good. I mean, it's the third 24-hour race we've done now with the car, and I mean, I think it's the most consistent lineup we've had so far, so it's been good. And actually wet, dry, no matter what. We've struggled a bit with straight line speed, but we've managed to make it up sort of elsewhere on the track. So it's been really positive, and I mean, hopefully we'll still be able to sort of overcome this little setback and get a decent result. So.
No, excellent stuff. Well, best luck for the rest of the race. We'll see you at the checker flag. Cheers. Spot on. Down here with ASR. Back to you in the comms box.
Thank you very much, Anthony Jordan, speaking to Alex Sedgwick from ASR. So, yeah, it's 1 hour, 49 minutes and 33 seconds remaining of the race. Last time I checked, Scott, the gap between Mac Attack Racing and Circuit Pro was around 1 minute and 34 seconds, which now is, well, I'm just keeping an eye on some of the timing because we've got one timing screen here on the laptop, but then we've also got the other TSL timing screen on the left-hand side of our commentary box position, which is showing at 92% of the time elapsed here at the Distrigo Parts Distribution C1 Racing Club 24 Hours of Silverstone as the 318 now hits the pit lane. That is Eastgate Automotive, who were battling for the win, battling for the lead along with Area Motorsport earlier on in the first hour and a quarter of this 24-hour race.
Just watching on RView to see where Simon Harrison comes through in second place, because RView overlooks the start and finish line for the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. Hasn't quite come through just yet. I think he probably should be along very shortly, I'd imagine.
We've had another car come in the pit. So I've just seen Esports and Stars just across the start-finish line as well.
Right, there go the leaders across the line.
And they've just gone past 1 minute 35.5 is the gap between first and second position.
So he's lost another 1.3 seconds on that lap.
So at the moment we are on lap number 371. Top 15 at the moment with 1 hour and 47 minutes and 58 seconds to go. Mac Attack Racing leads by 1 minute and 35 seconds. 35 and a half seconds from Circuit Pro in the 385. MSAR Old Hat Motorsport in third in the 321, followed by Citroen Racing 376. 480 of Team Merlin International with Alice Hughes behind the wheel rounds out the top five. And we got the 398 in sixth position. ASR in seventh, Cockwomble in eighth. Emax Motorsport 345 in ninth. They had a Viking in the 419 who round out the top 10. Bianco Auto Developments in 11th in the 331. Spy Motorsport completing the top 12. Also, good showing by 351. GMP Development stand up to cancer up into P13 with Bengineering into the 309 and Kraken Motorsport in the 411 now rounding out the top 15 spots. As I've just seen Carl Swift go swiftly past the 464 again. That's 464 Racing, who were in the were at a standstill a bit earlier on before being recovered back to the national pits. So quite a lot of tyre squealing still happening here at Silverstone. In the pits at the moment, Eastgate Automotive are in. TCS Motorsport, the 497 entry, is currently in the pits. Those are the two cars that ran at the top 20 at the moment.
Couple of pit stops in progress here, 497 and 467 currently making scheduled stops and refueling going on behind for the TCS Motorsport car.
So 497 TCS, which is in 20th at the moment.
And the camera's focusing right now on Cat DT, which is Colin Hode, David Alstadter, Phil Marsh and Nick Fashy.
Currently in 59th with Nick Fashy behind the wheel. And they're just about to go out of the pit lane. A bit of plenty of gaffer tape on the front right fender of that car.
One thing we need to remind as well, of course, is that we're coming up to the last 45 minutes of where on-track recovery is available if the car stops. Because remember, if the car stops within the last hour, that's it. The car is effectively classified as being out of the race. There is no recovery back to the pits. If the car cannot be made back to the to its original, if it can't make it back to the pit lane on its own steam, then unfortunately that's it. The race is over. So that's no one wants that to happen, but I have seen it before in not just in top level endurance racing, but also in club level stuff like this, or sort of national level endurance racing like this, where someone's been on course for a good result, even a victory, and all of a sudden it's just been snatched away from them by unreliability or an issue at some point.
Just keeping an eye on the Esports and Stars car with Richard Roberts behind the wheel in the 306, currently completing the top 50. So Richard said to me earlier on, well, my prediction is around P42, but with a couple of stop-go penalties for Miguel Feisker a bit earlier on in the race. Brendan Lee having, I think, an issue at Luffield. I think he ended up in the gravel. That has curtailed it, but there is still plenty of time for them to get towards the higher part of between 40th and 50th position here, as the very battered Area Motorsport passes our commentary position across the start-finish line to complete another lap.
There's Simon Harrison in second place, pushing on in 3:85.
Gap between first and second now, 1 minute 37.870.
The crucial bit here is that if either of these cars now have to stop, I'm pretty sure they'll have to make some kind of a fuel stop towards the end of the race, and if so, it's a case of when it happens, because and whether or not, if either need to stop again, and if that's the case, when they have to make the stop again, and of course, then how big's the gap going to be by the time they come in? Because the gap they've got at the moment, which is 1 minute 37, which is Muck Attack Racing over Circuit Pro, that, well, depending if it's just flash and dash, that may or may not be enough for them to remain in front, which means that to close the gap down, Muck Attack Racing are going to have to really push on and close the man down by several seconds a lap. Then again, this is Simon Harrison, the former National Saloon Car Champion we're dealing with here, so he's not going to be a slouch by any stretch of the imagination.
As it was 3 wide yet again under the bridge, as Alice Hughes in the 480 of Team Merlin International still sitting in P5 at the moment. They are 4 laps down off of Muck Attack Racing, but still, despite a couple of dramas for the all-female squad, they have still been doing their level best. That is it. Look at that. That
was almost 4 abreast, almost 5 abreast into the right-hander at Stowe Corner, but they've been doing that the whole race anyway, so...
Yes, that's been what we've customarily come to expect as the 383 is in the pit lane. That is Rusty Nail Racing.
That car's still looking fairly respectable in terms of what it was before. I think it's possibly got a slightly different coloured rear bumper, unless it's just how the light's reflecting off it, and I'm reading that wrong. Into the pit lane comes one of the Silver Lake cars to make a scheduled stop. That is 458, I think that is the pit lane, 458. Yeah, so that's Silver Lake Garage Row Ash. That's the Michael Harris, Alan Preble, and Sam Stride machine.
At the moment, they are currently in 73rd as they pit in, just 1 ahead of Burton Power Racing in 337. At the moment, Welsh Motorsports currently showing in the pits. Rusty Nail 58th. In the running order at the minute. With JDC Racing is in the pits, the 490. Haven't really mentioned them at all, to be completely honest with you. 41st position. Meltune Motorsports 431 also in the pits.
Oh, someone's...
Now...
Oh, is he okay? I think he might have had a bit of a fall for some reason.
Well, I mean, the thing is that you've got the two... Yeah, I think it's just the sheer exhaustion. You can just see... bent over, just this is what endurance racing does to drivers, irrespective of their level. You know, they could be, you know, the likes of Andre Lotterer, Benoit Troulier, and Marcel Fessler. But then you come to clubman motorsport such as this, and everyone is really, really humanly tested. You know, they've had to eat the right foods to keep them going, hydrate all the time, and the minimal amounts of sleep that these drivers are getting, let alone the teams, is pretty incredible, just to show how much the human body can really be tested.
It's really like a handful of hours rather than a proper long rest, really. But that is kind of a visual representation in many cases of just how tough and exhausting it is at this level when you're racing these kind of cars for 24 hours worth of racing. There's the Misty Racing car in number 406
with Warren McKinley from Team Brit behind the wheel. It was really good to hear his insight on how Team Brit are progressing towards their goal of racing at Le Mans, the first disabled team looking to do so, to race the so looks like we might be heading down to the pits very, very shortly, as looks like Anthony Jordan will be down there. So let's head down to Anthony in the pits. Let's see who he's catching up with now.
We're down in the pit lane with Ken Davis, 97 years young. Ken, you're about to go in the car to finish the race. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling absolutely great. We've had a hard time. The car's had its fuel pump changed in the last 8 hours and a couple of new wishbones, and we've had all sorts of trials and tribulations. But yeah, we're still running, and we've got 6 drivers, and everybody's had a really good weekend with a lot of driving.
Well, exactly that. Biggest grid that we've seen so far. 99 cars started the race. Obviously, we've dropped a few now due to retirements, but you've not retired yet. You're still cracking on with the racing.
Yeah, we lost 15 laps changing the fuel pump this morning. The car had to be recovered from down at Abbey. But yeah, once we got a new fuel pump from a second-hand man in the car park and changed it, we were back on our way again.
No, excellent stuff. And your car's about to come in. You're going to do a drive shot. We'll stick around. We'll see you in action, jumping in, and off we go. But yeah, no, cracking stuff, and we'll hope to see you at the checkered flag.
Thanks very much indeed.
No, thank you very much for talking to us. Down here at Garage Seal 9C, 97 years old and still racing in a 24-hour endurance race. Absolutely brilliant to see. Back to you in the commentary box.
Yes, and as our stream director rightly put on there, a proper legend. Nearly as many years as the amount of cars that we had on the grid.
And that kind of answers the question that we had. I think it was kind of late last night, of course, and it was being asked, which is effectively, what is the age range for each racing these cars? It's literally from age 16.
Oh well, that's
Eastgate
Automotive, and that's the 392 there.
And that's Quattro Formaggio that's got the flapping bodywork. So I think they've rightfully put that car back into the pit lane before we got the black and orange flag. So 392 Quattro Formaggio.
A very interesting graphic on the side of that car. Looks like a racing driver with ice skates on.
The track representative of the Demon Tweaks man looking at that on that side. Anyway, but yeah, that answers the question, as Mark Waller rightfully says. Someone asked ages ago, what is the actual age range? It's basically, you can get a senior racing licence from Motorsport UK from 16, but then from there it's for as long as you're alive, I suppose, and want to race. So it's case. So, credit in point, they're 97. That's one of the Prep Tech cars that's come to a stop. That's at the loop. That's at the arena complex, just on the inside of the loop. That's the 368 car.
Is that the one that had the dramas earlier on? I think, because there was a Prep Tech car that also had problems. Or was that the 469? I can't really remember, but there we go. He's saying, it's behind me, get the bumper, says the driver behind Quattro Formaggio in the pits. But yeah, that's and that is at, I think that's at Village, isn't it?
Yeah, that's on the inside of the loop. He's stopped the car there, so it's pretty much out of the way. But I think they'll still put a yellow flag as a precaution.
Mac Attack and Citroen now in pit lane, Scott. So this could bring Circuit Pro, I think, very much back into it, depending on how long the pit stop takes. So it looks like they've gone back out, and there has been a change at Mac Attack.
We should point out, as I did say at some points yesterday, that people are asking about the front and rear sort of windscreens. Another car's pulled to a stop.
That could be Cock Endurance, I believe.
I think it might be. I recognise the graphic on the bonnet. So another car with problems. One of the marshals heading across to have a chat to the driver at the wheel of car 368 as the Cock Endurance car is just crawling along the grass on the outside line. Now, whether or not that's going to prompt a safety car, I'm not sure. It looks though we've had there's been a change from Mac Attack Racing, so out of the car has gone Joe Wiggin, into the car has now gone Simon Walker-Hansel. Simon Walker-Hansel's done quite a bit. And look at this, look at this. This is proper, almost M25 stuff. Look at this. You've got 9, 10, 11 cars all together piling in towards the complex at Brooklands. Head of another of the Prep Tech cars. You've also got the Bianco car in there, the Rusty Nails cars in there as well. The 411's in there too. They all sweep their way through into Luffield. Look at this battle going on here. Is the Rusty Nails car tries to go around the outside of Bianco Auto Developments into the exit of Luffield and then through Woodcote.
That's very brave indeed.
But he might pull it off actually, as we see in set the 368 being pushed away to get it possibly in a position to get it going. But they're still side by side. They're going to flash past our commentary spot. Also the 321 getting involved as well. And that is MSA Old Hat Motorsport, which is actually the cars in third place at the moment. So the third place car is actually getting really into the mix now. 321 with that is Daniel Bruce that will have that car, sharing it with Callum Hutchings, Tony Hutchings and James Keepin.
So now we have that Circuit Pro resume the lead thanks to the pit stop from Mac Attack Racing. And in the last tour, Circuit Pro did a 3 minutes 5.287. Their best lap of the race, a 3 minute 4. So, and another thank you again from our stream director, reference the Marshals, who have done an absolutely Herculean task this weekend. Can't thank them enough. It's just so pleasing to see that, you know, that they're making sure that everyone's safe and sound, as the 416 of C1 USA in the middle of a gaggle of cars here.
Yeah, the Elk cars in the mix there as well. Also, you've got the 473 in there too, which is the car sport machine as well. I've just seen the Curie Celtique with Clapham North car in the mix there as well, just at the front of that pack.
We have just had a UTAG infringement for 319 just been pinged. That's a stop-go penalty for them.
That's for Scuderia Sundial back in 23rd place.
As the 358 now hits the pit lane.
Yeah, 358, that's the red Nicker car of John Leopold, Harry Nerja and Ken Davies at the wheel of that car. I think that is actually the car, I think possibly that our 97-year-old friend is going to be jumping in for, I think. So it might be him jumping in for the race.
So Ken, 97 years young, as Anthony Jordan said before he interviewed him, getting in to a Citroen C1 for, and it looks like Ken is going to take it to the flag, possibly.
Sounds good. Yeah.
There he is.
There he is.
Ken Davies on standby, ready and waiting to pounce, and helps the...
and that's the car, of course, that he's sharing as well with, of all people as well, Jacob Ebury as well. So he's sharing that car with him, as the car gets thumbs up as well. That's for Stephen Archer, I think. A safety car has been deployed now. Is that for the Prep Tech car that's been put through? That makes it very interesting with the fact that we've still got the cars in first and second on the lead lap. And so
now on the screen now we can see that the 368 is not just being pushed by the marshal, but also by the driver.
Yeah.
To get the car out of the way. Now
this may also factor in because we had the Cock Endurance car also pulled up. Or was on the grass on the run down to the Stowe corner. Sponge 1310 asks, do they use radios to talk to the team, or is there no car-to-pit communication? Safety car's been removed straight away, so what was the safety car has now been put back to green flag. I imagine it might be for the fact that they've put that car now way off the racing line to the inside of the circuit, so it might be enough that they might, if they're going to cover anything, maybe just with yellows. So, but yeah, Spone 1310, is there no car-to-pit communication? No, it's all old school, old-fashioned pit boards they have to try and communicate with them by. They're not allowed any communication. We've got another 4-wide moment there, including, I think that's the ASR car that's currently sat in 7th position with McDonald at the wheel of that one. We're coming up to the last half an hour of active car recovery available. Because after that it means we get nothing else. I think that's the 385 making its way, it is, yeah, down into the right-hander at Stowe corner. There's the 464 that had problems earlier on when it stopped out on track, but that's managed to get back out there without stuff. I see in the chat here it's a little bit behind sort of what we're seeing, but Ken's managed to pick up some fans. They're all saying "Go on, Ken" in the chat, which is great to see. Yeah. So good to see they're giving him some support for the last hour and a half in the race.
So at the moment, still Circuit Pro in the 385 continuing to lead. The gap now between themselves and Mac Attack Racing is 1 minute 54.295 seconds.
And there's Mac Attack Racing there, just behind the gaggle of 3 cars here, which is headed by, I think, the 431, I think that is, or 434. Yeah, 431, that's the Meltune Motorsports car. You've also got the... who else was in there as well? That was the... car. That was the ELK Motorsport car. The Prep Tech car is about to get lifted up onto the crane in a second.
It's lifted with wings, is all I'm going to say on that one.
And the reason why they open the doors, I learned earlier on, is that they do this so that it doesn't actually damage the rather thin and sort of thin metal sort of sills of the doors. So,
well, I know that Anthony Jordan will also testify to this. Is that the doors on the C1, the Peugeot 107, its sibling from the PSA group, do have very light doors. They're quite easy to slam, but they also, as we saw earlier on, between 400 and 378 when they came together at the Brooklands complex, that's how quickly the doors can concertina.
Yeah, absolutely. What's interesting here now is lap time wise, the Prep Tech car gets carefully hoisted out of the behind the barriers.
Well, it's only got one wing operational because they kept the right hand, the driver's door shut. So whether just opening one door might have just facilitated things to be a little bit easier in that case, as more cars make their way through the international pit straight.
Ooh, this is a good battle. This is 445 and 450 going at it, with 483 in the mix as well. So 445 is that's Emax Motorsport, 450 is Amigo Motorsport, and 483 is Team Crossacre. So the three of them were heading through. There's Ken strapped in at 97 years young into the C1, and he will be out for the final hour and a half in that one. And again, the stream director, absolutely a proper legend.
Well, wouldn't you thunk it? The centenary anniversary of Citroen as of March this year, 99 cars, and we have a driver at age of 97 as the CDMC car, having a great little two-way scrap with the, looks to be the 469, I believe.
Yeah, that was another Prep Tech car, and it was actually Prep Tech storming his way up the inside into Chapel, going out of the way right now.
Just move it.
Yeah, pretty much. just threw one up the inside and managed to get it going. There's the 309. That 309 there, the 497. 309 being Bengineering with Neil Chillystone, Ollie Samways, Benjamin Atkinson, and Stuart Monument. Into the pit lane now comes, that is number 450. That's another car we're watching just now. More battles down the midfield as well. This is 320, 430, and also we've got into the 479. That's the Superleggera car. We saw that car stop on the circuit earlier on a few hours ago.
Yep, number 450 is Amigo Motorsport with the heavily, I think, well, Stockerson is behind the wheel of that car at the moment. So very much a heavily Scandinavian populated crew there in that particular car. As Clapham North, Equipe Celtique with Clapham North comes into the pits.
And I have good authority that I believe Mr. George Grant will be getting to that car to finish the race
now,
in his own branded car.
Now, you say about drivers changing in for the final stint for the 351 is none other than Marino Franchitti, and is now lapping, well, the best lap from that car is a 3-minute 4.8. Marino is currently in 13th position and is ahead of Bengineering, who have been in the pits. This is a great little sort of train here, being led by Citroen with Warren McKinley for Misty Racing behind.
And the 490 is behind them. That's the Voitun with JDC Racing. I haven't talked about them too much this race. And they've had a bit of a silent race. That's why, and it's good to see the car is relatively, if not completely, in one piece. That's Joe Cruttenden, the Millards, Mitchell and Dean, and also Ben Thomas that will have that car as well.
Voitun with JDC Racing started 71st on the grid.
See where they've ended up at the moment.
That's what I'm just checking that out at the moment. Going to look well, hang on, I might have gone past them. Let's just see.
490.
490 is 41st. So 30 positions made up over the last 22 and a half hours as we are into the last 26 or so minutes of recovery for these cars, as the 373 is ahead of the 375 at the moment. 373 still missing that right front corner pretty much from lights out, and the 375 is performance preparation, and they're going to go side by side through Luffield there.
Tell you what, this Prep Tech car is absolutely storming on, because I think he's done it again. He's charged past somebody else, and he's running its way onto the hangar straight. That's the 469, which who's at the wheel of that car at the moment? I'm intrigued to know, because it's obviously powering on pretty quickly.
469 at the minute, so that will be
a bit further up the order, I'm sure. 469.
469. That has got Aaron Cook behind the wheel of that car. So thank you very much for everyone to continue to watch the dedicated Distrigo Parts Distribution 24-hour C1 Racing Club adventure here at Silverstone. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe and notification bell if you're watching on YouTube. We are cross-posting on multiple streams. Of course, you can follow Alpha Live on Alpha Live Productions on Instagram. Go into it's Alpha Live, I think it's Alpha Live on Twitter. Type in Alpha Live on Facebook. So there's plenty of ways that you can interact through Facebook and through the multiple cross-posting streams that we've had. It's, you know, it's just been. I can't believe this, Scott. That we are now into the last sub 90 minutes of this race. 94% of the time has elapsed, and I did say that we'd need to complete 410 laps to get past the 1,500 mile marker at the moment. Leaders are currently on 378.
I think it's going to be quite a stretch to do that, I think, to be honest.
Well, we're at 384 miles at the moment when 385 comes across the start-finish line to complete lap number 378. As we've had some changes, so there has been a change in Écurie Celtic. I think you said as under great authority that George Grant will be getting behind the wheel. And there has been a change. Marino Franchitti has lost out to Bengineering.
So lost a place rather than gained
now
a place.
I'm just, because also Kraken Motorsport, which is behind the number 351, is now in the pits. So, and at the moment, so Kraken Motorsport rounds out the top 15. The 367 of PrepTech UK is currently rounding out the top 20. And the top 20 cars are separated by 13 laps from 1st to 20th at the moment. As there's work going on the 393, which is Sussex Road and Race.
That's actually the team that holds the, I believe, still holds the fastest. Yeah, they do. They hold the fastest lap of the race.
301.488 as the 395 looks to have Crossacre as Rusty's Racing going up against the 396.
That's Riverside Performance, the John Stack, Aldo Riti and Alan and Rory Brown car. And having a proper side-by-side battle through Woodcote Corner. They're going to come past us any second now. Here they come, and they'll still be neck and neck. And just getting his nose in front was the Rusty's Racing car number 344. So we're up to 22.5 minutes left, which is the time left that drivers are allowed to be recovered back to the pit lane from if they stop within that time period. If they stop within the last hour of the race, that's it. The race is over. So even if, for example, attempting, if you're leading, don't attempt fate, but if you're leading the race or in a top 10 position or somewhere down the midfield and you're battling with somebody, if you then stop on circuit or stop on the side of the track, that's it. That's it. Your race is, you're classified as your race being absolutely done and dusted. So you're going to try and make sure this car gets to the end. Some of these cars are going to be feeling rather tired, I'm sure, and not just the cars, but the drivers as well. But they're doing all they can.
Now, there's an interesting point that's been raised by Marvin Hall, who's answered a question on the stream saying, are they road legal? Yes, all cars have to have a current MOT to compete. But that doesn't mean that means that they still won't. They won't be scrutineered. Reference the tyres about that by an MOT technician. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's still very. Yeah, I mean, to be completely honest with you, there's no, as far as I'm aware, there's no MOT technicians here that I'm aware of. Or are there any waiting in the wings?
And I highly doubt that any of these are going to be driven home. I could be wrong, but I highly doubt that any of these guys are going to literally swap on their road number plates and get out there. Two cars with rookie crosses on the back going side by side up towards Cops Corner. It's about to be three abreast, I think, just behind them as they come into the right-hander, and it will be three abreast.
Oh.
That was Misty Racing battling one of the stand-up to cancel.
Oh, someone
one car very wide.
Nearly hit the barrier there. Cool, that was close.
And that was, I think that was the AA. I think that was the AA. Or the AA.
Was it the AASP car? Probably the 320, maybe that might have gone off. I'm not sure.
Well, it was. I think certainly a similar looking car. I think ASP Motorsport. That car was involved in an incident earlier on.
Here is a very forlorn Cock Endurance car. Just look at every single panel. Doesn't seem to be without a dent.
No, that last time I saw that car when I was in the pit lane for a moment, I saw that car was it was being worked on. All of a sudden, they signalled for it to go nose first into the garage to work on it. So something that car's had some quite a bit of work done to get it back onto the track. But you can see the amount of work that's been done by all the tape that's been used as this battle still goes on between the Cockwomble car 420, followed by which is the head of the Misty Racing. He runs wide on the exit through. I think he goes right over the curb and holds the inside line. He's now battling with one of the stand-up to cancer cars run by GMP Developments, and up the inside possibly he's going Cockwomble with them as well.
Well, I mean the thing is that with the GMP Developments. So I mean the thing is that between SCC Performance are the closest car to GMP Developments in 14th position, but they're a minute and 50 adrift, and then it's a further lap down to Warren McKinley in the 406. The Brie Instigators currently in 16th position as Mac Attack trying to make good their intentions. The gaps between them. Circuit Pro did a 3-minute 6.2 on the last lap, but Walker Hansel is absolutely flying. A 3-minute 2.433 on the last lap.
Now he's done a 3-minute 3.668. He's taken, in the space of about 2 laps, he's taken about roughly, 5 or 6 seconds out of the lead?
Yeah.
Which is incredible. Now, of course, I guess this, for me, this all kind of really hangs on the question of whether or not the leaders per Circuit Pro have to make a stop again, and if so, whether it will be a full-on driver change, or whether it will simply just be a quick splash and dash and away they go. If it's a full-on pit stop, that's going to make it interesting, because that will effectively hand the lead back, as far as I'm aware, to McAttack Racing.
Very, very true. As looks like there's a driver change there for Cock Endurance. But it's still good to see that despite several of the cars, including Cock Endurance, C1 USA, still circulating with no front windscreen, no rear windscreen, as our CDMC, who have just followed them out of the pits. Here's ASR in the 390.
And they're scrapping with the 450 at the moment as they head through Woodcote Corner.
So, and as we say, that Emax Motorsport from 9th position in the 345 now pits. So that could be that now in that car at the moment, who's just come into the pits, is the Stuart Ratcliffe.
Somebody was the blue car. They're vigorously flashing the headlights as well into turn 1.
Well, someone's just asked on YouTube, what is the gap between 370 and 309? That's Spy Motorsport and Bengineering. That's 12th and 13th, respectively.
Showing it to be 4 minutes, which doesn't make sense because a lap is 3 minutes. So it's obviously, let's say at least over a lap advantage. Let's call it that.
So very interesting to see how that's going to pan out. Viking in the meantime now up to 9th position in the 419. As AASP Motorsports in the 438 also are in the pits. And we're going down to the pits to head down to Anthony for an interview.
We're down in the pit lane. I've got Michael O'Brien here. He's one of the drivers for Sussex Road and Race, or Suffolk Road and Race, I think it was. Yeah, you've got the fastest lap of the race up there. You're the quickest driver in the team. How does that make you feel?
Yeah, it's good. The race hasn't gone our way sort of overall in terms of position, but to have the fastest lap is a great achievement and shows how good the car and the team are. So.
No, exactly that. I think the fastest lap that we saw before was yesterday, and then you've brought it back today. Obviously, the track dried out, loads of rubber went down. It had obviously all the cars going around, flying around, so it was great conditions for it, nice and cool as well.
Yeah, that's it, and we're all quite new to this, so we didn't quite optimise everything for qualifying, but now it's nice to sort of get everything sorted and yeah, have the fastest laps. Quite a nice achievement. So.
No, exactly that. Where are you running at the moment? I think you're 30-odd place?
Yeah, 39th actually, 39th. Yeah. So I didn't actually know we were that high up. But no, we've all been doing a good job. And like I say, we had problems at the start. And then we've just been chipping away and gradually creeping back up the leaderboard. So.
No, excellent. Team been treating you well? Everyone working well together?
Yeah, it's been really good actually. Obviously, it's a bit different to sort of the usual stuff that I do, but it's been really good, and the team's mega, so couldn't ask for more really.
No, excellent. And final cut, any rivalries that you've got through the garage? Any teams that you're keeping a close eye on?
No, not really. There's a lot of people that I know, a few other British GT drivers, so it's interesting to see how they're getting on. But no one really. Just been trying to go out and pass everyone. That's been the strategy. Just go out and be the quickest car at all times. So.
Exactly, and obviously this is very different to your McLaren GT4, isn't it?
Yeah, it couldn't be any more different, I don't think. So it's nice though to have a different challenge, and although the car's different, there's still a real skill and knack to driving them, which is great because they're all so level and equal. It's nice to try something like this and try and get the most out of it.
No, excellent stuff. Well, best luck for the rest of the race. We'll see you at the checker flag.
Thanks,
Michael O'Brien down here at Garage 3A.
Well, that was, another one that's a GT racer with McLaren. Being the driver that host has the fastest lap of this race. That's quite impressive as well, though, Scott.
It is. It's good to see them making the most of that. That was obviously a combination of the car feeling account, probably on fresher tyres just after a pit stop. We think Michael at the wheel of that car as well, so it wouldn't have been a surprise to see him popping a lap as quick as that. There's the area motorsport car. It's been a fan favourite all the way through. Apparently we've had an incident being told, an incident at Abbey, apparently, for who that's involved, and if that was a few minutes ago, I'm not 100% because we were focusing on the... there's the car that's off the road. That's the 370. It's off the road. So 370 is the Spire Motorsport car, the Peter Young, Paul O'Reilly, Brent Millage.
They're running in the top 15.
And Josh Potter.
That's Paul O'Reilly behind the wheel of that car.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, that's 13 minutes before the end of the of that window that we were discussing a bit earlier on, that when we get into the last 60 minutes, if you get recovered, you get recovered to the nearest safest place on the racetrack.
Yeah, look at the 467, which I noticed has its driver's side window open, which I think is not exactly all that good for aerodynamics and fuel economy, but if it's keeping the driver cool enough, I guess it's a different way of keeping yourself cool other than using the air conditioning and pulling fuel away from the engine, and power away from the engine.
Yeah, I'm just going to have a quick look at see where our 97-year young driver is, Mr. Ken Davies from Red Knicker. Good to see that he was in fine spirits when Anthony interviewed him a bit earlier on, and I'm sure that he's doing great guns behind the wheel of the 358, which is currently 79th. So, and Ken's last lap was a 3:25, so shows that it doesn't matter your age. If you can drive a car and you want to get behind the wheel, why not jump into a C1?
Yep. That's definitely the case, and it looks good to see. Right, here's our second place, guys. Up a little bit of the traffic here, but it's really how Simon Walker-Hansel can make his way through here. He's trying to pick his way past one. He's got 3 more to try and deal with. But of course, we're still going to keep focused on the fact of as and when this is going to happen. A new personal best that's been popped in by Simon Walker-Hansel, 3 minutes 1.714. It's only 3/10 off the fastest lap of the race. The last lap for Simon Harrison was 3 minutes 4.222. And I would put it to you that he's probably been in that car for... I'm sure we could. I'm sure he's been in that car for coming up to the maximum he's allowed per stint. I'm sure
he might be getting close to the total of 60% that he's allowed. That any one driver is allowed to drive in this event if it's over 6 hours, according to the C1 Racing Club regulations, which you can find on c1racing.club. To be honest with you, I think it's going to be quite interesting, as we fast approach the golden hour, the 23rd and final hour of the Distrigo Parts Distribution 2019 C1 24 hours at Silverstone. So like you say, Walker-Hansel, just less than 3/10 off of the fastest overall lap in this race, and it's coming towards the end of the race as well now. So Walker-Hansel clearly has got the fire lit in the belly, Scott.
he certainly has, and but again, it just all matters on whether or not the Circuit Pro team has to make a pit stop still. If they do, effectively that will hand the lead over to the Mukatat Racing squad, and there's a chance. It's not guaranteed.
Yeah, I mean there is always the it's not. No. I mean there's always that what if or could it happen. You never know. As the 370, the left front wheel looks in a little bit to the right there. So
yeah, that's what it's the left front wheel is pointing inwards. So it's obviously got some kind of a bit of damage. So that must be the accident at Abbey that we were being told about.
Yeah, as we're coming to 1 hour, 9 minutes and 40 seconds remaining on the clock. Still to go here. So at the moment, the top 10, as we fast approach the inevitable conclusion, it's Circuit Pro leading by 1 minute and 40 seconds. 40.5 seconds from Mukatat Racing in the 342nd, that's second position. Third is MSAR Old Hat Motorsport in the 321. The 480 of Team Merlin International still running strongly in fourth position. 17.1 seconds ahead of Citroen Racing in the 376, who ran at the top 5. Then it's ASR in the 390. Colquomble in the 420. Silver Lake Racing in the 398 in 8th position, with Viking in the 419 in 9th, and Bianco Auto Developments in the 331 rounding out the top 10.
So there was Simon Walker-Hansel in the second place car of Mukatat Racing. We've got more battles going on here. We've got the Team Stella V car. It's a battle of the non-windscreen cars. It's up through the inside goes one of the cars being battled with at the moment. Up the inside for 3 wide now are a few more cars heading into Abbey Corner.
And Team Stella V are actually taking out some time with JDC Racing in the 490. They are 53.7 seconds adrift, but Stella V just took nearly 1.4 seconds out of them, as the 387 is having to watch the inside as the leader, 385 of Circuit Pro, continues to circulate and now completes lap number 384, I believe.
And that was a personal best for them, despite the battle, 3 minutes 3.840, but it's not quite on the same pace as the car behind, of course. There's the Custard car, which we saw ended on its roof at one stage at about 7:30 this morning.
Still going strong. Also, another one of the non-windscreen clan. What is Ken's surname? Asks Sofa59 on YouTube. Ken Davies. So, Ken is getting stuck in. Someone's put on there saying that the Defender 110 that's been recovering everybody looks very sweet. Well, that's definitely a glow-in-the-dark special there, I must admit. But that's been a very, very intrinsic part of the marshalling operations. Again, we can't say thank you enough to those great women and men in orange that have helped us throughout the running of this event, but also the support events such as the Dunlop Britcar Endurance Championship that has been taking place this weekend as well. The Classic VW Car Club has also been here at Silverstone. So without the marshals, we could not go racing. It's definitely getting to that. I think it's that crunch time, isn't it now, where we're going to find out who's going to make that strategic call in the last 60 or so minutes, and that is going to come from Circuit Pro, as you've alluded to quite a lot over the last few minutes, Scott. And I've just been looking at Walker Hansel's last lap, and it was a 3 minute 4.8. So Circuit Pro, I think, are starting to respond slightly, but
he hasn't come through to complete his latest lap yet. So in terms of what he's done, he should come through very shortly, because effectively 1 minute 40 is right just over the lap's lead. So just over half a lap's lead. My apologies.
Well, he's just put in a 3 minute 2.0 on the last lap, and has got the gap down to 1 minute 38.7 seconds on that last tour. So 1.8 quicker than the current leaders in the 385 in Circuit Pro.
I think they've just got to rely on the hope that the leaders have got to make another pit stop, which I'm sure with Simon Harris at the wheel, having been in that car for quite a while now, I would presume that he will be jumping into that car to hand over to I presume it's going to be Tim Hart on them, I'm sure, because I think Patrick Watts was in that car for quite a while. Then Simon Harrison jumped in, and it's now, I'm sure, it's going to be Tim Hart that will jump in also. Just seeing Area Motorsport there, again, they've been a fan favourite for just about the entire race. They're up at the front, and then up at the front for a while, and then a mishap with a back marker in the early couple of hours saw them the car ending up on its roof, and they've been fighting their way back up through the order ever since.
Now I've noticed some personal bests being set, one of which is Citroen Racing, who are now 10.4 seconds behind Team Merlin International, and behind the wheel of the number 376 is Adam Burgess, who's just put in a 3-minute 2.285. So they are definitely on the hunt of swapping places again with Team Merlin, as we are now just under 65 minutes to go left in this race.
And the last 5 minutes of recovery back to the pit lane. Remember, once it ticks over with less than an hour to go, that's it. Pit lane recovery is not available. Into the pit lane comes 390. That's ASR from P6. I believe, as we spoke to Alex Sedgwick earlier on, that the McDonald will be in that car for the to the end of the race. I imagine this is probably going to be a short, possibly a short fuel stop, just to kind of get them out. Somebody else has been called into pit lane as well.
PrepTech UK 367 now in pit lane.
This might be them coming in right now, in front of our camera. Indeed it is. And that car will just, looks like that would just be a regular fuel stop, but then to get them to the end, I think there's also going to be a possible driver change.
Looks to be the case.
If not, the driver might just be jumping out to for them to conduct the refueling.
So 367 PrepTech UK, one of their multiple entries, and it's the battle of the no windscreens with Cock Endurance and CDMC going side by side there. But CDMC just manages to get in front. And the driver that brought the 367 was into the pits was Will Rayson. And it's quite interesting to see, Scott, that you're seeing quite a few. Now this train of cars coming under the bridge here is just a sight to behold. You know, who'd have thunk it that, you know, just under 23 hours ago, we started the biggest ever single-make grid globally in 99 cars, and we still have over 75%, I think, of the field still competing. Oh
yeah, but without a doubt, and it's a testament to how well these cars have been put together, how good, for the most part, the driving's been in terms of drivers, regardless of their skill level, whether they've been, sort of veteran drivers or complete rookies at this one. But of course, the rookies have had a heck of a lot of track time. Of course, several hours worth of driving out there, which is pretty incredible in many cases to think of how much effort they've put in throughout this 24-hour race so far. We're coming up with just 2.5 minutes to go left in in the second to last hour of this race, and they'll be up to the last hour of this Distrigo C1 Racing Club Silverstone 24-hour race.
Cockwomble 420 now in the pits. They've over the last couple of laps, they have actually set their best lap of the race, a 3-minute 2.895 around the 3.661 mile circuit here at the Silverstone Grand Prix facility.
Whilst that's been happening, just quickly with the leaders, the gap has come down by another 3 seconds. Mukatak Racing compared to Circuit Pro. So whether or not Simon Harrison either is just possibly getting tiring a bit towards the end of his stint, I'm not sure, but. Simon Walker-Hansel, who's a little bit fresher, shall we say, I think probably in terms of him jumping in, what was it, roughly about half an hour ago or so, maybe, he's been able to really put his foot down and bring that gap down as quickly as possible. So it is potential. Again, I would think it's sure that Circuit Pro will have to make another pit stop. I'll be surprised if they don't, but of course, given how big these tanks are and how hard they might be pushing, that might have been an element. The fact that Simon could even be backing off by a couple of seconds each lap just to basically save fuel, to get himself towards the end and maybe sort of go as long as they can before they have to make that inevitable pit stop. But all the time, Simon Walker-Hansel, I'm guessing he's probably on as fresh a tyres as they can be, out there with enough fuel to get to the end of the race, and he's just ploughing on lap after lap, bringing the gap down. So.
Just in the pits just then was the number 412 of Young and Old with Jamie Ingram behind the wheel. So they're refuelling at the moment.
That rear bumper, like many other cars, is heavily secured with gaffer tape as well on the back of that.
Yes, black gaffer tape is de rigueur here in the Citroen C1 24 Hours of Silverstone, or any Citroen C1 event that I've been party to.
Well, it's gaffer tape in general, or race tape as they call it, because we've seen, of course, Cock Endurance's car, of course, has got quite a lot of red tape all around that car to keep everything in position.
And there's Team Tivoli that were in the wars with Manpower Motorsport a bit earlier on in the race. And here is Area Motorsport, one of the fan favourites, again making up places. And I'm just going to see where they are at the moment. Area Motorsport has got Luke Handley behind the wheel.